Hi, Ray. Oh, Ray. I could always count on you. Thank you so much. Good morning. How you been, Ray? Hi, Chase. I'm here. I was running a little late. Hi, Aleph. Thanks for letting me read last night. Hi, Sharon Worthington. I was so late. I was like 6 minutes late, okay? Oh. Hey, Betty. Betty June. Hi, Cindy. Okay, let's get to it. Today, what is today? Today is a huge day. Big, big, big energies. It's a full menorah. Ooh, Brandon Lee Taylor. That's a good sign. Today is called Zot Chanukah. Zot Chanukah. And it's the 8th day of Hanukkah. And I've said it my whole life, and I never understood it until this year. Until I met the Melech HaMashiach, Yer Ha'ari, who opened my mind and my heart to the secrets of Torah. I never understood what I was doing on the deepest level, or what I was saying, or what I was observing. But Zot is code. Aleph knows this. Zot is code, Kabbalistic code for the Shekhinah, for the feminine. Ze is the male and Zot is the female. And we have learned over the past few classes who the Shekhinah is, where she's the highest root of the Shekhinah, is the Panemius of the Atik, is the innermost aspect of the Atik. And with her, in the sealed chamber up there, where no masculine is getting in there, no man goes in, behind locked door, in the Kodesh Kodashim, she sits and waits. She sits holding the Or HaGanuz, the hidden light of creation that was stored away after the sin. What is she waiting for? She's waiting for energetic parity, her energetic vibration to show up all the way down in Asiya. For the energy grid down here to be in resonance with her 3 levushim. Levusha de Nahora, Malbush Reuta, and the last one is, I think, Rechimu. It's compassion, her garments of compassion, light, which is wisdom, and delight. And once those frequencies are matched on Earth, the magic happens. The door unlocks from within. And the Or HaGanuz comes flooding back on the planet. On Hanukkah, we got a taste of it. Hashem let a little thin ray out. That's what we learned last week, a little thin ray. A taste of it. And the Zot Chanukah is the fullest expression of that thin ray. So enjoy today. As the sun is coming up outside, I see the rays of the sun. All right, so let me just say my thing. We're going to timestamp this. Today is Monday, December 22nd. It's my Mordechai's birthday, my youngest one's birthday today. Turned 19. 2025. And we are smack in the middle of the greatest story the Ein Sof Baruch Hu ever told. I want to start by explaining what Zot Chanukah is. And then I want to tie it into the donkey. This is going to be like a feat to tie these concepts together, but it's really not that big of a stretch. Once you understand the sod of something, once you understand the decode, once you have the cheat codes, the glossary of terms, the pshat opens up. And like Yer always says, the pshat is the reward. And I finally understand what that means, because you finally understand what the Torah is trying to tell you. Once you could swap out this word for that word and understand, it's just like you're just one or two meanings away from the heart of Hashem. And that's really the game of Zohar. That's the game of Kabbalah, is understanding how to swap out words. It's like, it's as easy as that. How to do some gematria, like it's, the text really opens up. These are the keys to unlock the text. And I realized something. I had this this parable come to me of how only I, really no one can understand my notes. Looking down, when I jot down what I want to say to you guys, and I look at it, I'm like, it's illegible. But I understand it. The same thing with Zohar. The soul of Yira Ha'ari, the soul of our Melech HaMashiach, who has reincarnated it in every generation, had to come in wiped clean, just like the rest of us. No memory of past lives, no memory of past Torah. He had to start from the beginning in every lifetime. But what did he do? He was so smart. In his lifetime as Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he wrote himself illegible notes, unintelligible notes, because he knew he would come back as the Raya Mehemna, and only he would be able to read his notes. I remember one of the very first conversations I ever had with Yira. He told me he looks at the writings, the Kisvei of the Arizal, which are impossible. No one really understands what they are saying. They're pretending that they do, if they do. But he told me in that conversation that when he looks at the writings of the Ari, it's as if he's reading his own writing, his own words. And that stuck with me when he said that. Same thing with Zohar. When he reads it, it's like, finally somebody who understands it is reading it to us. It's the nimshal to the mashal. He wrote down the mashal in the cave, and he came back this time around to give us the nimshal. Rabbi Kessin, where's Yori? I don't know if Yori's here. We love Rabbi Kessin. Rabbi Kessin said, we're waiting. The Ramchal, a little bit touched on the nimshal. Yira Ha'ari, he gives the whole thing. He gives the whole thing. So let's go to Zot Chanukah. So the question is, why is Zot Chanukah why is Zot Chanukah on the 8th day specifically? Chanukah has 8 days. Just make sure you guys can see this. Okay. Make it a little bigger. Okay. This is not poetic, it is structural. The Ari explains that day 1 through 7 are the building of the vessels of Malchus, but day 8 is the entry of the Or HaGanuz into Malchus, because 8 is beyond nature, Lamala min HaTeva. It's the level of Bina. Bina is the 8th Sphira, and it is the source of the hidden light. Thus, on the 8th day, Bina fully enters Malchus. That moment is called Zot Chanukah, when Bina fully enters into Malchus. The Shekhinah is now inaugurated. Shekhinah as the recipient of the Or HaGanuz. According to the Zohar Chadash and the pre-Eitz Chaim on Chanukah, the Or HaGanuz, the hidden light of creation, was concealed after creation, but reappears every Chanukah, but most fully, Zot Chanukah, on the 8th day. Where does that light rest? That light needs a home, not in Zeir Anpin, only Malchus, because it's coming from a feminine place, it has to land on a feminine place. Only Malchus can receive and reveal it. So on Zot Chanukah, the Shekhinah becomes the vessel for this primordial light. This is why all 8 candles can be lit, and the menorah is at full expression. Judgment is sweetened completely. We're in this energy today. You can ask, somebody told me yesterday, you can ask for whatever you want. Tell Hashem your desires, because they shoot straight up to the Atik. They go all the way up to the top of the tree, close to the one neighborhood away from Ein Sof. This is how close you can get today. You bypass the entire tree. So Zot Chanukah means the Shekhinah has completed her reception of light. And the menorah, it's a full menorah. Okay, so the next concept I wanted to go to, and this, I've been percolating on this for a few classes already now. And Menachem Jenkel from Germany, for some reason, whenever he sends me a text, I know I have to pay attention to it. I know it's a message from Hashem. So he sent me, because he very rarely sends me stuff, and what he sends me is always really good. I don't know if you're listening, Menachem, if you're out there. But he sent me a clip, an interview from Sarah Yehudit Rigler Schneider, who is a Giores, and she's a brilliant woman. And she's been on my radar for years now. She's written many books, and she's like one of these like Harvard-minded people. She's a brilliant lady, and she just has this beautiful way of articulating, making comprehensible, very esoteric concepts. In this interview, she touches on what my neshama has been trying to figure out for itself as well. The question is if there's this concept of zeh le'umas zeh, if there's one, there has to be the other. And Zohar, as a masculine endeavor, has been one until now. Where's the other half of that? Zohar, as much as I enjoy it, it breaks my brain. I've never been one for gematria or don't make me read a diagram. Diagrams are rough. I can never understand what I'm looking at. It's just not how my brain works. So I'm waiting for this other half of Zohar to be revealed, the feminine half. And I heard her call it, in this clip I'm going to play for you, I heard her call it Igulim. And there is 2 aspects. There's the straight and there's the circular. Circle at the top and circle at the bottom and straight in between. I think I've heard Yura say that, Aleph say that. And it reminded me of this little mini book that I ordered from Garment. It's called Ma'amar Ha'igulim by Nathan of Gaza. And I read through it yesterday and I had no idea what it was saying. It was more diagrams. I was like, the only person that would trust to explain this book to me is Yira Ha'ari. And I have a feeling that Nathan of Gaza was starting to unpack, reveal, touch on this other half to Zohar, this feminine half that everybody was terrified of. Nobody wanted to touch it in the men's club. But it took a woman, it took Sarihu Diet Schneider to open this conversation. So I'm going to play this clip for you.
It's actually, I'm really kind of working right now on a exploration of the Ari says in a number of places in his writings that he is only giving over the teachings, the Kabbalistic teachings of the realms of Yosher, of the hierarchical realms, and which is associated with the masculine, and he's not really giving over the teachings that are related to the worlds, Igulim, the circle worlds, which are associated with the more feminine modality. And so I understand that as a kind of invitation for women to articulate the Kabbalah of the feminine, that the classic Kabbalah is really very much masculine oriented and doesn't so much deal with the feminine experience. And so I'm right now, kind of in the teaching that I'm doing right now, really exploring what the Kabbalah of the feminine is, and kind of starting with a premise that the Kabbalah of the feminine kind of presents begins from below to above, whereas the Kabbalah of the masculine generally moves from above to below. And the above to below is really what's called the Seder Hishtalshalut, the unfolding of light into matter. And it's a very kind of technical and detailed Kabbalah. And the Kabbalah of the feminine, as I'm understanding it, is that it begins with something kind of concrete, an issue or problem or question that is concrete below, and then looks to classic Kabbalah for the paradigms. There are many paradigms that apply to different kinds of situations. So to find the paradigm from classic Kabbalah or masculine Kabbalah that sheds light on and helps to unpack the issues and shed some light on how to work with this particular matter. And so I just published a book called Dark Matters of the Soul, the Kabbalah of Shame. And so I'm kind of doing teaching right now of working with the issue of shame in a manner of Kabbalah of the feminine. And it's exciting and interesting.
I'm very excited because that means that the generation we live in, there's a female view of Kabbalah, because traditionally, as we see in all literature, that there was a dominance of masculine teaching, just because of the way society was. And now you're saying that even the Ari, who was one of the greatest proponents of Kabbalistic thought, acknowledged that. And so now there's a new way of thinking about this. Can you give just a short example?
Okay, so that got me thinking. Hold on, my shade. That even the Ari only touched on this. They were all terrified to touch this. But the Melech HaMashiach, in many of his videos, had the nerve to do what all of those tzaddikim never did, never revealed. And what is that? He started the process of taking the feminine out of the dark. Out of the distortion. The first story that I know of about the feminine is from the story of creation, where there were two ma'orot, there were two luminaries. There was the sun and the moon, and they were equal in size. And the woman complained. She shouldn't have, but she did. And Hashem said, you have to diminish yourself. And so she did. And so there's been an imbalance of masculine and feminine energies on the planet. The masculine has been dominant. He hasn't been tempered with the feminine. And we see how that worked out for the past 6,000 years. It's a planet of too much masculine. It's a planet of war, fighting, brutality. The energies have to come back into balance for there to be world peace. So the moon diminished herself. And in diminishing herself, there created a place for evil. When she comes back to her full stature, evil will have no place to live. Evil lives in the hidden aspects of the moon, in the miyut hayareach, in the diminishment of the moon. So she complained. And then I tie this in with another story that I have learned from Yura, that Ima created without Abba. That's another thing the woman did wrong. She went off on her own and made this creation. I don't know how to make those stories mesh with each other, but I take them individually and I understand that the energies were not in union with each other. They were in disunion. So when Ima created with Abba, she created a misshapen world. She went off on her own. So what is the real Gula? What is the real rectification? The heart and center of Gula is the male and female energies coming back into balance with each other. Their full stature, full sun, full moon facing each other, each having a light of their own. A planet with only female energy I wouldn't want to be on that planet. Same thing with a planet with only male energy. You need both, one to temper the other. The moon was wrong when she said, how can two luminaries compete? Male and female energies do not compete. In their truest essence, they complete each other. When the man puts the woman on her throne, the woman puts the man on his throne. It's natural. It will be the most natural thing. I've heard you say that Lilith, who is Ashura, who is the highest root of the Shekhinah in Keter, cannot manifest in Kedusha, in Asiya, in this realm. But there's a caveat to that. And I asked the Rabbi GPT, because I had a feeling about this. She absolutely can manifest in Kedusha, in this realm. Not in exile, but in redemption. In redemption, she can finally come out of her distortion. And come back into her radiance. Come back into her holiness. So maybe seeing the Kabbalah of the feminine rising is a strong indication that we are in the full-blown era of Gula, and there's no turning back. We're here. And Yira has done what all the great sages of the past did not have the guts to do. he brought Lilith out of hiding. I looked back in his videos last night because I had remembered that about a year ago he made this video. And I really recommend that everybody watch this video if you want to understand more of what I'm talking about. It's called The Highest Secret of the Word Bereshis, Lilith, where he brings her out of the dark. Every other Mekubal was terrified to touch this. And it took Mashiach to finally speak out loud who she really is and why we don't have to be afraid of her. And this brings me, I want to play one more video for you guys. And I want to set it up a little bit. So the code word for Lilith in Torah is donkey. And I've always learned growing up, Mashiach rides in on a donkey. Never understood what I was saying. I just, conjured a mental image of a man, ani v'rochev al chamor. He's a poor man riding in on a donkey, and it was just a simplistic understanding. And I finally understand that Mashiach rides into Gula because he finally revealed who the donkey is. He took her out of her shame, out of her unholiness. And in doing so, performed the rectification of the female energy. Started the process, got the ball rolling. Shifted the imbalance. All the men of Torah fled from this. Oh yeah, I took a screenshot. I want to show you guys this. It said in Vayetze, I took a note of this, that everybody fled, okay? Jacob fled, Moses fled, they all fled. And for some reason, my soul understood when I saw this, that they kind of all fled from facing the females in their life. That was my understanding for some reason. Neither partner was at a state of spiritual maturity to come into full divine union with their counterpart. They were always messing it up with the ladies. Wasn't going well. But I see more and more on social media, men getting it right, men understanding how to be in their masculine. And in doing so, allow the females in their life to come into their feminine. They're reflections of each other. When you're in a real divine relationship, a divine union, when one person corrects the energy, it immediately self-corrects in the other partner. Okay, let's play that other video. This is Rabbi Nir Manusi from Israel.
Is a midrash, and this is where we're leading up to and finishing now. There's a midrash that tells us that there is a very holy, important donkey. Again, donkey is chamor, chamor is chomer, matter, physicality. The image of a donkey and riding a donkey is the image of refining physicality and materiality.
Okay, he doesn't say that the donkey is Lilith, but we know from your Hari that the donkey is Lilith.
So there is an amazing, weird midrash that takes 3 donkeys in the Bible and tells us they're all one donkey. It's a midrash. It appears in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, chapter 30. And it says, you remember Abraham, when Abraham went to do, in the previous parsha, he went to sacrifice his own child, his own son, Yitzchak. Akedat Yitzchak. He took a donkey and he put the wood on the donkey. But then when he got to the mountain, he told to his servants, you stay with the donkey down here and we're going to go up, me and my son. So that donkey is the same donkey that Moses used when he came to Egypt to bring salvation to the redemption to the Jews and save them out of coming out of Egypt. There's also, it's described that he used the donkey. And it's the same donkey that the Mashiach will come riding. Because there's a prophet that says that the Mashiach will come, he will be a poor man riding a donkey. And so it's the same donkey. It was a donkey that was created in the first days of creation, and it's the same donkey. So now, just looking at those three stages, Abraham's donkey, that has to do with our parsha, because he's burying Sarah and mourning for Sarah, and it has to do with physicality and how he mourns and longs for the body. So his donkey from the previous parsha, Moshe's donkey, and the Messiah's donkey.
Okay, I want to pause it here. And I just want to say that you see that Avraham Avinu, when he did the Akira, when he took Yitzchak, he didn't even take the donkey anywhere near that. He didn't include the female. The donkey is the female. He totally excluded the female. Okay, and what happened? When Sarah found out the news, it killed her because she wasn't included in the process at all. And maybe she wasn't ready. Maybe she wasn't spiritually mature enough. We saw how she laughed, and when she was told the news that she was going to have a baby, there was a lot of spiritual immaturity inside of her. And maybe Abraham assessed that and realized he couldn't tell her that he was taking their son to go slaughter him. And that was a judgment he made. But we see that the two partners were not in face-to-face union, Abraham and Sarah, even though Sarah was said to be of higher prophecy than Abraham. It doesn't doesn't equate to spiritual maturity. So that was one of the first examples in the Torah showing us that materiality, which translates to femininity, the female energy, wasn't anywhere near ready for true union. And then we have Moshe Rabbeinu, who's the next one with the donkey. And he does a little better. He puts his wife and child on the donkey, and he tries to incorporate the two energies more so than Avraham Avinu did. But in the end, we know he's separated from his wife, and he ends up losing his 50th gate of Bina. You can't have Bina, you can't have understanding without having a woman. She's the one who's going to provide that level of Bina because it's a feminine attribute inside the relationship. And that goes into my theory why he ended up hitting the rock, because he wasn't in relationship and he didn't regulate his nervous system inside his marriage to the point where he would have spoken to the rock instead of hit the rock. But then we get to, he's going to speak about Mashiach and the donkey now.
So all these three donkeys are three stages in the refining of physicality. So we'll just look very briefly. The first
when he says refining of physicality, I translate that to the maturing of the feminine energy on the planet.
Donkey, nobody rides it. It's just used for carrying wood. It's just a tool for the accessories of doing a mitzvah. Abraham takes it, and he puts the wood on it, and he takes it, and then when he gets to the mountain, he says to his slaves, you sit here with the donkey. So the donkey is outside of the mitzvah.
Right, the woman is completely sidelined. She's not included at all.
It's outside of the holy realm. Nobody rides it. Nobody should be on it or refine it. It's just a donkey for carrying wood. And because the refining...
Right, the woman is used for utilitarian purposes. She's just like arm candy. She's not considered an equal.
Of physicality is also the rise of femininity. Where is Sarah? Nowhere to be found. She's nowhere there. This is solely a weird kind of male bonding between father and son. He's going to sacrifice the son, but according to Kabbalah, it's a mystical kind of bonding, and of course it doesn't kill him in the end, and they do become very bonded. So Sarah isn't there. In fact, the Midrash tells us that when she heard the story of how Abraham almost killed Yitzchak, that's how she passed away. So she couldn't bear it. So she's totally out of the picture. So the donkey is out of the picture, and the woman is out of the picture. second donkey, Abraham's donkey, Moses' donkey. Moses does put his wife and sons on the donkey. He puts them on the donkey and he takes them to Egypt. But then suddenly they disappear. When the continuation of this, he meets Aaron, and then the continuation of the story is only him and Aaron. So before this, two differences. It's not just putting wood on the donkey. He puts his wife, he's not on the donkey, but he puts his wife and children on the donkey. At least now it's not just for carrying wood. He puts them there because now it's people riding it.
Right, he starts incorporating the feminine energy into reality.
The donkey is elevated in a way, and of course the woman is part of the whole journey. He doesn't leave Tzipporah with Yitro, with Jethro. He takes her along. However, Aaron then tells him, "You're crazy. We have enough Jews being slaves in Egypt. You're bringing more people to be enslaved. Tell your wife and kids to go back." So they go back because physicality hasn't risen enough, hasn't been refined enough, and femininity hasn't risen enough. They need to go back. And of course, we're later told that in order for Moses to be a prophet, he needed to stop being intimate with his wife. He needed to let go of his wife altogether. But then we get to the Mashiach. The Mashiach is riding on his donkey himself. And so here, he's not just putting wood on it, he's not just putting his wife and kids, he's riding it himself, meaning he's refining the physicality, the chomer of the chamor, he's refining it himself. And we can ask, okay, but what about the woman? The woman isn't to be found, right? It's just like Abraham, who was alone without the woman. And it's just like Moses, who took the woman, but then sent her back, and then left her at some point, or stopped being intimate with her. Meaning he was a bit like the Greco-Christian monk, a little bit, God forbid, Moses. But now we have the most important idea, which is that according to several places in the Zohar, the Mashiach will be both a man and a woman. The Mashiach will be a couple, a married couple. Not only will the Mashiach be married, for sure the Mashiach will be married, but the Mashiach will be a couple. So the idea is that first we're speaking about Moshe. When Moshe was told, you must, in order to be receptive for prophecy, at each and every moment you need to stop being intimate with your wife, then the angels they said, how can this be? It's human beings, they have to be male and female together. So God told them, that's right, but now I want him to marry the Shekhinah, the feminine godly presence. And he needs to stop being with his wife. In a way, he's divorcing his wife, but then he has to marry the Shekhinah. But then the same Zohar says, but in the days when he really marries the Shekhinah, he takes the Shekhinah down, and she becomes united with his wife, and then the Shekhinah will be his wife, and he's going to marry the wife. And the Zohar says in another place that most books, says the Zohar, most books say that when Moses stopped being with his wife, it was a virtue.
This is a very important point. Listen.
We say, the Zohar says, it's not a virtue.
Right. This is what I always suspected, that it was not the right decision for Moshe Rabbeinu to separate from Tzipporah.
Virtue is being both connected to the heavens and connected to the earthly realm, meaning you have to marry both the Shekhinah and your wife. And of course the other Zohar says they should become one. But then the most dramatic Zohar says that the Mashiach's goal is to defeat the primordial snake. In Hebrew, the word Nachash, snake, and the word Mashiach, Messiah, have the same numerical value. Very simple gematria. And it says, because the snake caused the first man and woman to sin, he caused Eve to sin, and then he caused Adam to sin, he will only be vanquished by both a man and a woman together. It's impossible to vanquish the snake if you're just a man or just a woman. You have to be a married couple. So the famous question is the Mashiach, does he have to be a man? Maybe the Mashiach is a woman? So the answer is very simply put, the Mashiach is a married couple. Has to be both. And it's not just a Mashiach riding a donkey, it's really a man and a woman together. They're the Mashiach. And the riding the donkey, meaning they elevate, they refine physicality together.
That's right. They bring the energies, the masculine and the feminine energies, get rectified on the planet together.
The man bringing the more spiritual wisdom to the forefront, and the woman bringing the more physical wisdom, which is absolute wisdom, because now the body is refined.
Right.
And they're both absolutely equal, and they're together, they refine physicality.
Yeah, and that's pretty astounding, because none of us ever grew up understanding that Mashiach is going to be both a man and a woman. But it makes perfect sense. Because what we've learned so far is that the Shekhinah is holding this Or HaGanuz, and Geula doesn't happen without the Or HaGanuz, the hidden light of creation, flooding the planet and bringing us back to a state of Gan Eden. But what it is that the Mashiach brings down the light, and the light that he brings through his wisdom brings the feminine into her proper energies. She remembers who she is through the teachings of the Mashiach. And when she can match, when he brings her to the point where she can match the energy of the Shekhinah at the highest root, that's when the gate opens. That's when the floodgates open. So we need these energies in tandem. And we need this final incarnation of Moshe Rabbeinu to teach the secret Zohar that's been kept from us. We need him to tell us the truth about Lilith, about Ashura, that at her highest root, she's the holiest. And once this gets corrected on the planet, and the woman is brought back into her fullest stature, there's no more room for evil. And the evil spirit will pass from the land, and death will be swallowed forever. And all the tears will be wiped from the faces. All the promises Hashem gave in Torah. Come to fruition. Once the energies are rebalanced, once the female comes into her full maturation spiritually, and they're no longer in competition. She's no longer complaining. And he's no longer hiding from her, thinking she's evil. When the men have the guts to say the truth about the female energy and learn to work with it, we learn to work with each other, understand the strengths of each other. I don't want to be a man. Don't make me be a man. And I don't think most masculine men want to be women. I want a leader. I want a provider. I want to be able to rest. I want to be in my intuition. I want to be in my sensuality. I want to be in my softness. And I want to lead from that position. And I want men to be the leaders, protectors, providers. That's what lights them up. I see how happy it makes a man to hold the door open, a true man to hold the door open for me. Teal Swan always talks about this. There's so many great teachers online. So many great teachers. Lucas Salame, oh my God, so many right now. The more of us who really immerse ourselves in coming into your truest and most natural state energetically. If you're a woman, come into your feminine, and a man into his masculine. This is the highest work of Gula right now. And the more of us that are doing this and making these corrections inside relationship, the sooner we come to this critical threshold, this tipping point, where there's enough of the Shekhinah energy down here, matching the Or HaGanuz frequency held inside the Atik, that door is going to unlock from within. And we're going to wake up from inside a dream. That's what Yer always says. We're going to wake up from inside the dream. And we're going to start lucid dreaming and creating reality alongside with Hashem, inside divine partnership, the way Hashem always intended. The highest ratzon of Hashem was to know the other. And when he sees there's enough of us fulfilling that ratzon here in the world of Asiya, in the world of actuality, where his highest dream becomes actualized in physicality, he's going to bring redemption for the world. And real peace, real world peace starts in the home. When a man and woman are in peace, when we have shalom bayis in the home, we will have shalom bayis in the world. Starts inside the house, inside the home. The husband respecting the wife, and the wife respecting the husband, and each one putting the other on their rightful thrones, equal in stature, face to face. And Yura has started this process and naming Lilith, taking her out of her shame. Speaking out loud what even the Ari was terrified to do. Yeah, I like what you said. I don't know who you are. At that time, she will have the strength to submit to her husband. There will be no more tempting or being tempted. True, true. The female knows how to submit. She wants to submit. She doesn't want to be in charge. Trust me, I'm at work all day in charge. And the last thing I want to do is come home and be in charge also. Let me just see if there's anything else I want to share with you guys. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you inside. Okay, this is in Likutei Yira. This is the source that Yira cites for equating Lilith and Ashura and the donkey. Kasiv b'Sharuch HaKodesh. It's written in Chaim Vital's writing in Sharuch HaKodesh, Yichud Samoch. It's the Ana B'Koach, right? Ana B'Koach Gedulas Yemincha Tatir Tzerura. The gematria of this is Ashura. Okay, he brings the mathematical proof. Besoda Chesed Ki Avraham Machnia Klipa Yishmael. Okay, this is just like proving how Ashura is hidden in the word Bereshis, in her head. V'hu Lilith. Mislabeshes, she is disguised b'chamor. Whenever we see chamor in Torah, see, this is the proof right here. It's talking about Lilith. V'hinei Ashura. She's Ashura. Shehu b'sod Lilith. See, they just drop that one-liner. That's what Yira always says. They just drop it like it's no big deal. But this changes everything. This changes the whole Torah. You know, they drop it and run. Yeah, and this is the Hebrew of that. This is his source for that in Sharuch HaKodesh. If anybody needs to see the source, this is it. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. Let me just check on you guys, see if there's any other good comments here. Lilith matters because redemption must reclaim the light that fell the lowest. Exactly. And, oh, this is beautiful. Let me show this. And the donkey, thank you, Orlando Ortega. The donkey matters because matter itself, right? The feminine is matter. She's matter. She, like Sarah Yudit Schneider said, the male is top down and female is bottom up. And the female is rectification. We take the esoteric concepts given to us by the male and we make it work in reality, right? We don't escape the female. There's no escaping the female. She's like a donkey. She'll always come and bite you in the ass. What else? You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, we need this. We need these kind of things spoken out loud. Even a simple video like this, you know, I don't get that many views, but I'm speaking it out loud. And that alone has strength to shift timelines. Just a small group of us being here. There's 22 of us, which is a good number, sitting here and speaking this out loud. Who knows if this is the threshold we needed for Hashem to pop off Gula? And Lord knows we are ready. So just to wrap up, use today's energy. We have the full strength of the Shekhinah where we can bypass the whole tree of life, go straight from Asiyah to Atik, and direct and focus your intentions and your heart to that place with all of your wishes. And my strongest wish, and I was saying this on my chat last night, is that the world will see our Melech HaMashiach the way that we see him. How obvious it is to us. It should become that obvious and more to the world. The impossibility that he is, the walking anomaly that he is. The fact that he could write down the entire demonic hierarchy in a single night on a tikkun with every single sigil is an impossibility. And then the next night do the same thing for the angelic hierarchy. For people who need proof, okay, let that be your proof. But for the females out there who work more on intuition and resonance, listen to him speak. Listen to him give words of Torah over it. Translate the Zohar. Give the Nimshal to Zohar as if it's his own, because it is his own. It's his own shorthand, his own sloppy notes that only he can understand and give over to us. Let that inform your seichel. Operate from seichel. This is a switching of gears from operating from logic to operating from seichel. Understanding that his background and his brilliance don't match. The contrast of that should be enough for any thinking person to take note, to sit up and take note that this makes no sense. It's the only way Hashem could get our attention, is to bring something that made no sense. It's somebody that looks like you're a Hari, like a dude. Can speak the highest, sweetest Torah on the planet. The great humbling is coming. May the world be prepared. May the world be ready. Thank you for being here with me today. And happy Zot Chanukah. May all the wishes and desires of your heart come true in the highest possible